Con up, peace to the tribe up with me. House of Cons, the West Indian. Bless the child that could hold his own. The Most High, I pray thee, reveal the unknown. Shalom, I was born in the house of Cons, the land of Jacob, where it's fertile, plenty fields of corn. See me walking through the valley with my staff and shield. Back in Egypt, one day Moses even had to kill a hard pill to swallow that's real. Tomorrow, and I promise to be honest, you'll do whatever to live. And like birds of a feather, all my nagas together at the temple praying, paying homage to ancestors that were led to the slaughter by the preachers and missions, labeled savage and invaded by the cannibal Christians. From then on, it was doomed our verses covered in lies, till the truth was beneath the surface. Open your eyes, and those who remain will be a remnant. And to this day, I still remain the West Indian. I still remain the West Indian. And to this day, I still remain the West Indian. I still remain the West Indian. And to this day, I still remain the West Indian. An emblem of America personified as a naga in feathers, gun on my side. My naga's back whatever, taking back what's ours. My naga not a never, standing at the tower of Babylon, and we gon' tear it down. We don't worship the sun. Matter of fact, or something like the son of none. On King David, the Messiah, one of Jacob's sons. 12 tribes of evil from the other side. The promised land was where my grandmother died. The motherland in America where I reside. Blackjack war chief for my own tribe. Now those folk don't be lacking in my corridor. House of Cons, I was born in La Florida. And those who remain will be a remnant. And to this day, I still remain the West Indian. And to this day, I still remain the West Indian. I still remain the West Indian. And to this day, I still remain the West Indian. I still remain the West Indian. Tribe up, Con up, peace to the tribe, peace to the family. Salute to the nation, salute to the bloodline, salute to the sons and daughters of Jacob. Con up, tribe up in the promised land, stronghold of the Naga. It's Blackjack, House of Cons, tribe up, the West Indian salute. And to this day, I still remain the West Indian. I still remain the West Indian. Tribe up, great day. Hey, welcome to the House of Cons. I'm Blackjack. I still remain the West. Salute to everybody in the house. Monog in the house. My soundboard acting up right now. I want to move slow. They got the hijack on me earlier. It's all good though. There we go. We'll let it catch up. We'll let it do its thing. Salute to everybody in the house. Y'all do me a favor. Hit the like, subscribe, share the video. Hey, we rocking out on a late night, my naga. That's how we got to do it sometime, you know. Summertime roll in. Nagas get kind of busy, you know what I'm saying? Having them business out here. Trying to make sure the bills stay paid, you feel me? Trying to make the almighty dollar.
You really want to be a CEO.
Oh, hold on, let me
you to take the first step.
Pause that.
The LLC.
Yeah, they hijacking heavy. They hijacking heavy today. All right. Yeah. We back. Yeah, sometimes these computers, man, this internet stuff, man, they just do what they want to do sometimes, man. You already know they watching you, boy. Shadow banning you, boy, all kind of stuff. But you know, it's all good. We have to work with it. We got to do what we got to do. We know they on our necks, but we gonna stay on their neck too. And tonight, on the late night, we talking about your slave name, my naga. Your quote unquote slave name, my naga. Salute. But But the question I gotta ask, is it even really that? You know, I make these little titles, these little thumbnails. A lot of times I be cracking little jokes for real. I be trying to play with the algorithm. I try to say certain stuff without saying certain stuff. Well, that's the title of the show, your quote unquote slave name. But now, who exactly are we talking about? That's another thing you gotta understand. Who are we talking about when we say your slave name? Who are we talking about, right? We looking at this thumbnail. We done seen it before. We looking at this thumbnail that everybody done seen this by now. You know what? Speaking of this thumbnail, and we looking at it from a third eye point of view, even though we done seen it before. We done talked about it. We done discussed it. I'm glad everybody's awareness is being raised. Like, we know certain stuff we brought to the table. Hey, Manhattan Project in the house, Tribe up. My soundboard is just going crazy. We know certain things in the game. We brought awareness to, man, for real. Hey, over here, y'all, you and I, the House of Cons, my naga, y'all did it and I did it. We brought awareness to a lot of stuff that's going down right now, whether you know it or not. And you know, we done put out so much material. We've been rocking out so long now. Sometimes it's hard to keep track, but if you take a look around, we made a lot of impacts. Like even with this thumbnail. Like a lot of Nagas are connecting the dots and making the relationship with this thumbnail, this so-called slave, who's really just an American Indian. They making the connection. They connecting the dots, and you know y'all know we did it first. We pointed them in the direction, but they making the connection. That they connecting the dots with these tobacco ads, with slave ads, and with American Indian culture and tobacco statues at that and Bone Savage clocks. And looking and noticing, we seeing the same images. And speaking of the tobacco statues, where they always got their peace pipe, we looking at this stone. They look like the colonizer took his peace pipe, smoking the stuff, right? Like the colonizer got his peace pipe. Cause that's if you take that pipe, that same pipe out that colonizer hand, and you put it in that Naga hand in the middle, what do we have? Another tobacco Indian, right? With his feather skirt on, right? Another tobacco Indian, right? So we understand like right away when we see these images, and a lot of more people understand it too now. I know this. I'm talking about like everybody know now. Like I know we made impacts like on the low, quiet as kept. But sometimes it's always gonna be the chosen that's few that impact the masses, my naga. And we ain't gonna always get credit. It's all good. We ain't really here for the credit. I be talking noise a lot, but we ain't really here for the credit like that for real. You know what I'm saying? We gonna get credit what credit is due from the Most High. From putting the work in, and we putting work in, the work that we've been putting in. I mean to say, but that's just one thing I know. That everybody know what's up with these images. Not everybody know. When about a year or two ago, ain't too many people knew. You look back by the year or two, you can go through these content creators, go through their catalog. If they got much of a catalog, go through their catalog, look back by the year or two, and see if they was talking about these runaway slave images, these tobacco ads. And making the connection of the dot that these is the Indians, these is the Bone Savage, these the Nagas, and you will see that not too many people was, and it's all right. But the point I'm trying to make is that the awareness is being raised. Everybody is starting to become aware, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing, right? It's a good thing that people starting to understand, right?
Hey, family.
It's a good thing. Everybody becoming aware. But saying that to say this, man, we talking about your quote unquote slave name, right? Because we know with the slave, some of the slave ads look the same as these old tobacco ads where the colonizer got the man peace pipe, the tobacco they got his peace pipe. We know these images are the same, and we talk about slave ads, and they always talking about your slave name, Managa. You know, they always like that's how they try to explain your name. For one, they call it a slave name, right? That's how they try to explain your name. Then I just messed up a page real quick. I'm gonna have to put it back up. See, they're trying to throw me off with this live stream already, but it's all right. I know my information. So Google, so YouTube, whoever, Google, whoever's in the background, playing games with me. It don't matter. Y'all can delete my page. I'm gonna put it right back up because I know what the hell I'm doing. I just have to move it over. They got my computer just moving real slow again right now. I'm like, I get so tired of this sometimes, y'all. It can be frustrating. Cause like this is internet based stuff that's going on when you go live, then your computer starts running slow and it was running perfectly fine before you were going live. That's how you know. That's the dead giveaway that you know they hacking into your stuff and they trying to screw around with you. But it don't matter. Like I said, we're gonna continue to proceed. So let me pull this page back up that they done knocked off for me, trying to throw my stream off. Like, see, it's like, I don't know why they do it. I know why they do it, but it's like it's so annoying, man. And I know they can, you know how they can get at you through the internet, slow your computer down. All right, let me put in certain names. It's annoying, man. That junk be annoying, bro. I've been sat here like I'll be already on my computer an hour or two before I start the show. I be doing my research, setting up my work. Then as soon as I go live, here it go. They be like the AOL little bonk bonk bonk. I be like, man, you son of a. All right, now I'm where I need to be. Right, salute, driver. Let me get the show back on the road. I'm trying to run the show here. Hey, salute to everybody that be supporting the house, man. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate all the cash out donations and everything that come in, man. Y'all be supporting in a major way. I appreciate that, for real. Y'all be showing up, showing love. But, man, this is weird tonight, man. What is going on? All right. So, name of the show, Your Slave Name, right? Like I say, we looking at this image that we know it's a tobacco image. We done compared it to the runaway slave images and this and that. But when we go to move from tobacco images to runaway slave images, we got to speak on slave name, surname, because that's the main way they explain your name. Like some of y'all in here, you know, whatever your name is, whether it's Mike, whether it's Tony, whether it's Jason, whether it's Jacob. They always, and your last name could be Smith, Jackson, Brown, Johnson, Williams. You know, these common surnames. Your last name could possibly even be Moore, Moore, right? And they gonna always say, oh, that's a slave name. They gonna always say, oh, you got a slave name. That's a European slave name, right? They wanna tell you that you supposed to have some kind of African name, which that's as bogus. That is bogus as all outdoors. First off, you ain't from over there. But anywho, that's neither here nor there. When it come to your last name, Kyle N in the house, salute. When it come to your last name, they always saying your last and your first name. Like that nigga right here we looking at. That nigga name could be Jacob Jackson. That nigga name, anything like that, right? The nigga in the middle. And they gonna say it's a slave name automatically. Why? Because he's so-called black, right? You see this is a funny thing about being so-called black or having melanin. You marked. You automatically get placed in the box if you have melanated flesh and you got a certain texture of hair. You're gonna automatically get placed in the box.
Darkness is spreading.
The box you're gonna get placed in is the African box, right? They're gonna say, oh, you African, you black, you got nappy hair, you African. You're gonna get placed in that box, right? You're gonna get placed in the slave box, especially if your name is not an African name. Just like any other Spanish conquistadors that was Negro, like Pedro Niños, that drove the ship and brought Columbus over here. He was a Negro, but they called him an Afro-Spaniard because he was Negro. When he just a Spaniard, his name was Pedro. His name was not African. So they would say, historians who didn't live at the time, modern day historians, they would say, oh, he had to be a slave. They would say that because his name is Pedro and because he's a so-called Negro. Because they would automatically say he's African because of those two things. He got nappy hair, he's a bronze flat power guard in the house, tribe, but they will automatically say he's a slave and he's a Negro. even though he drove the whole damn ship. They'll call him a slave and an African because he's a Negro and he got that. Even though his name is Pedro and he came from Spain, right? So, hey, salute Ambush Predator in the house. Salute Ambush Predator, Monaga in the house. Coming in from St. Catherine's out there in Canada, Monaga, stronghold of the Naga, Monaga. Don't get it twisted. So they would always say you a slave, like especially if your name Tony, your name, you know, any kind of name that doesn't sound African, whatever that means. And by the way, when you say African, what does this name sound? Nigerian? What does it sound? Like it came from Ghana? What? You can't just say an African name. There's plenty places in Africa, right? So they gonna always mark you with that. They gonna say, "Hey man, this nigga name is Jacob. His name, he's black as hell. He's in America. He got to be a slave." They gonna say that he's a slave. Well, they found you free or whatever. And anybody that sees your name, they gonna say, "Okay, that's not an African name. It got to be a slave name," because they are just ignorant of what true history is. Just because your name is not an African name, don't mean the slave name, especially when you're not indigenous to Africa. Now, I said all that to make some points, man. To make some points about some stuff. We finna get into it, so we finna get into it. I'm gonna jump right into it, because I know it's late tonight. I know a lot of y'all gotta get up early in the morning. I do. You know what I'm saying? But we're gonna jump right into what I want to talk about. These, your so-called slave name. And I started to put your so-called slave name, but I said, nah, I'm just putting your quote-unquote slave name. And we'll let the algorithm figure it out, right? So we right here on names.mongabay.com. Mongabay. Y'all see that at the top? Mongabay. I don't even know what Mongabay mean, but it's a site that talks about surnames and it keeps statistics. So it keeps sort of like census data, but it specifically when it comes to surnames, and it says most common last names for blacks in the United States. You know, hey, Papa Daddy in the house, tribe up. Because you know they gonna say, y'all niggas came from Africa and you was a slave and you got the white man last name, which don't make sense. Because for one, if your ancestors was a slave from Africa, right? Not all the blacks in America, so-called Negro blacks, were slaves. A lot of Negroes was freemen. So what was their last name? Wouldn't they have African names? If they came from Africa too, right? Or would they not? If they never came from Africa, they wouldn't. Like we know they didn't. None of the free blacks had African names. What were their names? See, we finna make some points here. You know, it was a whole lot of free people of color, free blacks on the land. You know that? It was a whole lot of them. What was their last name? Did they have slave names? They couldn't have had slave names. And they couldn't be from Africa because they would have the African names and it would still be amongst us, right? We would see the traces of their African names if these free people of color came from Africa. But we don't see those traces because they didn't. So we're going to look at the most common last names for blacks in the U.S. And we're going to draw some interesting conclusions. The following is a list of the most common surnames for people who self-identified as black in America during the 2000 census. So this census is they went 24 years back. This data is collected from, and that's pretty good. The data, which may include people who identified themselves as African American, African, or other ethnic or racial groups, is derived from the U.S. Bureau of the Census. All right, so we see all the little tags they got in here. They got African American, Dominican, Haitian, Jamaican, Latin American, Nigerian, Puerto Rican. Nigeria is not in America. All these other places you would listen, except this African American and shit, and Nigerian shit, is really in Americas. Trinidad, West Indian. Look at that. Put that one last, right? Put that one last. Like I keep telling y'all, I don't know how many times, man, but I'm not even finna go there. You know what I'm saying? I'm not finna go there tonight. But I keep telling y'all, that's your tag, that's your classification, West Indian. Now remember, we talking about common surnames of blacks in the U.S., man. And like, it's so easy to see this stuff, man. It's so easy. Now, two or more races and all. American Indian, Alaska, all that. Certain names by race, right? So we see Williams, Johnson, Smith, Jones, Brown, Jackson. Them, that list right there. That 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, top 6. We'll just even go all the way down to the top 10. A lot of y'all in here right now in this list. I am. My surname is in this top 6. But is it a slave name? Is it a slave name? What make it a slave name? Is it a slave name because you so-called black and your hair nappy? Does that make it a slave name? Is it a slave name because your ancestors came from Africa and then somehow the white man gave them this name? But if that was true in 1865 when they freed the slaves, why didn't their slaves reclaim their identity and say, hey, man, I know if I was a slave that got freed in 1865, even if I did came from Africa, and I had a white man last name, I would say, hey, man, I'm free now. F this white man last name.
Bitch, dummy. Biatch.
That's what I would have did. And I know my ancestors would, if they came from Africa like they tell us, that's what they would have did too. They wouldn't have wanted to keep no white man last name. They would have said, hey, man, we taking it back to what we was, right? So I'm not convinced that these is matter of fact, I'm not convinced. I know for a fact these ain't no slave names. I'm gonna prove it to you tonight. I'm gonna show you, man. I'm gonna show you some convincing information that you gotta be blinded to not see. Because what makes you having these? I mean, so let's say if a white man had these names, does that automatically make him a slave master, or would he be a slave too? If Williams is a slave name for you, would it be a slave name for an indentured slave or for a white person? That's what you gotta ask yourself. What about if anybody else? What about if a yellow man or a red man had these last names? Are they slaves too? Or is it just you somehow? And if it's just you, how did the other people get the last names? Right? Because we can roll through this whole list, and this list goes long. What we see all these names, we say, yup, slave names: Carter, Wright, Miller, Hill, Allen, Mitchell, Young, Lee. Now Lee, that look like a Chinese name if you ask me, or what somebody might say. Turner, King, Edwards, Coleman, James, right? Jenkins. They would say, yeah, these are slave names. That's what people would say, right? That's what people would say. And we see what the top one is. The top one is Williams. That's the top surname for so-called American Negroes, is Williams. Right? All right. So that being said, to say this, what make it a slave name? Because you got it. Because when we look at white surnames, does this make them the masters when they got some of the same names? And if so, why is Smith the top white name? Shouldn't it be Williams like yours? Now we see some of the same names present: Smith, Johnson, Miller, Brown, Jones, Williams, Davis, Anderson, Wills. We see these same names in America, that is. White people in America got these names: Adams, Lewis, right? The same names. Jackson way down here though. Jackson 6 on our list, but it's way down here on their list, number 30 on their list. How that make sense? Now let's see something else. What about American Indians? Oh, don't jack me now. Don't jack me now when the point about to be made. Oh, they want to slow me down now. I know it's late night YouTube and y'all don't like this here. Y'all be falling from a little trap. You know what I'm saying? Now y'all want to play games. You want to white out the screen and whitewash. All right, let me go back to the other one. So what I got to do? Let me wait a minute. There you go. Most common last names for American Indians and Alaskan Natives in the U.S. Oh, what do we have here? The same names: Smith, Johnson. We got a couple different ones. Begay, Yazzie. Those sound like Asian names to me, from Eurasia or something. Locklear, Jones, Williams, Brown, David, Wilson, Thompson, Thomas, Miller, Jackson, White, Martin, Lee, Hunt, James. Are these slave names for American Indians? And why do American Indians, Negroes, and whites have the same surnames, but when it comes to you, it's a slave name somehow. I need y'all to think about this. Need y'all to think about this and just ask yourself why. What makes it a slave name when it's attached to me? Because American Indians for sure were enslaved, right? But would they have these last names? Did we all get them? But see, American Indians wasn't enslaved. The $5 Dogs Road Indians wasn't. Right? So this list is a $5 Dogs Road Native Americans. How they get these last names if they was never slaves? Because we know they wasn't slaves. The fake Indians wasn't slaves.
Big dummy.
Right? We know they brag about it. Yo, y'all was freemen, we wasn't. Y'all was the freemen. Y'all was the one that was slaves, nigga. You know, that's what they say. We red, man. We wasn't slaves, but that ain't what history say. History say the American Indians got conquered, enslaved, and they got their land stolen. So if the fake Native Americans didn't get enslaved, how they get these last names? If these are slave names. I mean, just take a look. Mitchell, Phillips, John, Baker, Young, Adams, Morgan, Hall, Lopez. Now that one, you ain't gonna see on that. That's a Spanish last name. You ain't gonna see Lopez. See this is they telling on themselves with these lists and stuff. Why is Lopez? Now, yeah, we know Lopez ain't on our list. Morris, Henry, Parker, Long, Reed, George Richardson, Chi. Look, see, these is foreign names. Chi. See, I'm making this point. Your name is not a slave name. It's actually just an American name. And we're gonna prove it. Because now when we look at the come on, hijacker. God damn, man. I'm focused, so like all this slowing me up, it really don't work. Like, look at that, I'm freezing my screen. Come on. Oh, you deleted me? I'll put it back up again. Damn, my next page was this, man. God, they deleted my page. Son of a bitches. That is crazy, man. Stop hijacking me. I just had all this stuff for like 2 hours before I went live, man. I've been online for this is bullshit, man. Alright, so let's pull that page they just dropped all back up. Most common surnames. Damn, man. Come on, man. Really? In the U.S. Now we speaking common surnames in general in the U.S. No race pick, just in general. Look, the same names. Brown, Anderson, Miller, Smith, Davis, Taylor. We can go back to that same site, Manga Bay, just for the comparison's sake. The same site, the same names. It almost looked like they just said, we'll put black on the name on this time. We'll put white this time, American Indian, whatever. The same names though on both lists. So how is this a slave name when it's on you? See, and I'm finna make this point. Look. The same names: Smith, Johnson, Williams, Jones, Brown, Davis, Miller. Same names, and this is for everybody. So we saw that same list almost for blacks, for whites, and for so-called Native Americans, except for some difference. Like some Spanish and some Chinese signing names along in their list too, right? But a lot of their list is the same names as in our list, like Smith, Johnson, and all of that, right? And then when we go to everybody overall, the list continues to be concentrated with a certain number, certain names. But when we go into history and we look at who conquered America. Who supposed to came over here and enslaved all the Indians? Who supposed to, who when they be lying, say they went to Africa and enslaved the Africans? And what was their last name? Cause shouldn't the conquistadors have these same names? These are slave names, right? These are Johnson, Jackson, all that, Williams, all that was a slave name. We should see that name in the list of conquistadors. But we see Britain, France, Spain, and the Netherlands established colonies in North America. Now we talking about the people who colonized America. When we talking about the countries, Britain, France, Spain, and Netherlands. So we should be able to go to Britain, France, Spain, and the Netherlands, and they list of surnames should look just like ours, right? We know it don't though, right? And when we even look at the list of the conquistadors that colonized America, these names definitely ain't on that list. So these was the people enslaving people, and okay, and if you want to go with the historical lie, you want to say they went to Africa with a slave ship and brought back slaves. How come I don't see no Nagas running around last name Pizarro or Almagro or Nequesa? I don't see none of us with these last names. Cortez, if these the conquistadors, these the slave men. Pedro, Alvaro, I don't see nobody. I don't see these names on any of those lists. And you got 15 more rows. Let's see. Belacazar, Carver. Look at these names. None of you Nagas ain't got these last names. And then, and speaking of this, and I'm finna point out something. Now, the internet tell us we know what last names we got, right? The internet tell us whites got some of the same last names we got, claiming that we slaves because of that. The internet tell us that American Indians supposed to have these last names too. But I can just use some common sense, so I ain't gotta wait on the internet. I can go in here and I can look at the when you look at the names. Let's just do something like this. Names of white basketball players in the NBA. These names should be a lot like that list we looking at, right? That list with the last names of ours, right? Or do it look more like the names of the conquistadors? Yeah, this look like it relate. I don't see. Look, you see Stockton, maybe you might can say that one. Look at these Bird. Look, Walton, you might can say Nash, maybe. But Jokic, look at these names. Sabonis, these look like these could be descendants of conquistadors. So when they telling us on this site that most white people got these names, so it don't reflect when we look at sports. It don't reflect. They got names that's more reflective of the people that actually colonized America. They names look like this more in common with the list of the conquistadors. Yeah, you see these names look similar to those names, and you can do the same thing for football. You can do the same thing. Like, man, like what Naga do you know named Butkus? Last name Butkus. That's a conquistador name. What Naga do you know last name Novacek? Now they sit here and tell us though that the whites supposed to have these names. That's a lie. Think about it now. Think about white people that work with you. You done heard they weird last name. Like I was at a man's house, last name was Cantville. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, this Naga last name Cantville. I was like, I ain't never heard of this. And I feel like invoices every day. So I see a lot of white people full names. And it's never the names that I'm seeing on this list. I don't never see white people named Williams, Johnson, Smith, Jones, Brown, and Jackson and all this. I never see white people on my daily day. I'm running 8, 9, 10 service calls a day, and I never see these last names. The last names that I see, guess what they always like? They always weird last names, like Pizarro, Almagro. Every time I meet white people and their last names be these names, it'd be a foreign last name. It'd be a conquistador last name. They surname. So if you came from a descendant of some kind of African slave and the narrative they're telling you was true, a lot of you Nagas should have these last names. A lot of you Nagas last name should be Novacek, all kind of bullshit. You should have all these weird names like you see in the NFL, the NBA, and other sports. And I use the sports because everybody know those last names. Just like in the everybody know Sabonis. Y'all Nagas know who that is, man. His last name ain't Smith. He's clearly descendant of colonialism, right? Hablicet. So we got to see through stuff when they're telling us these are slave names. Then they show us claiming white people got these names. How come when I look at, and let's see, and when I look at the white list, the most common names for white in the U.S., how come I don't see no colonial names? Did you notice that? Like almost as if we know some of their names should be Slavic, you know what I'm saying? And all kind of funny words. We know this. Why it don't show up in their list though? Why the list look like your last name? Stevens and Perry, like Kanye West and shit. Hayes. Isaac Hayes. He's Naga name. He's not. They stole your land, and they stole our names too. And when you think about it now, none of these don't look like colonizer names. Freeman. How a white man last name Freeman? See, man, y'all not better think, man. Look now, I guess he gonna be a indentured slave, and he got freed. Well, look, let's see where Freeman at on our list. This the black list right here. We back to the black list now. Watch Freeman. You know Freeman on our list. Where it's at. Freeman on the white list. And that's fine. It's on the black list. I seen it. Y'all know I done looked through this damn near this whole list. The list is long as hell. I ain't looked through the whole list, but a lot of it I did. I'm just finna. There you go, Freeman. Freeman is number 91 on the Naga list. And on the white man list, Freeman is number 143. What about American Indians? It's going to be interesting, right? Now, according to them, they weren't slaves, you was. According to them, Freeman shouldn't even be on their list, right? Let's see. I'm going to give y'all the spoiler alert. Freeman is on their list. Let's put it up. Let's see what number it is. I'm doing all this to make some points to y'all. Some dots should be connecting in your brain right now. Like if these slave names, how come not only you have them, everybody? All right, Freeman on the Native American list is a number 140. Salute, tribe up, salute. All right, so everybody got Freeman on their list. Who the slave then? Who does this refer to? We know Freeman definitely ain't no colonizer name. See, we gotta stop like Ponce de Leon. None of you Nagas last name ain't de Leon, man. I ain't never met a Naga last name de Leon in my life, man. Talking about slave names and descendants of slave. Hey, Quiet Storm Sean in the house, tribe up. Dang, see they Stephen Schoolman in the house. See, I ain't even see all this. They is messing with me hard. Nelson Charles in the house. I ain't see all this to just now. Tiffany LaSalle in the house. Salute. Kyle N. 305 War Chief. Old Breeze in the house. Fishing with Camo Joe in the house. HSV Overwatch in the house. Dang, man. See, they screwing with me. See, it looked like to me, everybody came over here and stole our names, and they just flipping the script for real, man. Because when I look at these countries, we know, like, you know, think about who came over here. France came over here. Now, if I go type in the most common surnames in France, we know France was enslaving Nagas left and right. Slaving, they making bold savage cloths. France was showing their ass off. France was wilding when we look at history. But none of you Nagas ain't got French. And if I go look at the French surname list, it is not gonna look like this. It is not gonna match our list. According to history, though, it should. Hey, JJ in the house. Salute, tribe up. We know, man, like, these French Nagas, man. See, why we ain't got a bunch of French last name, man? They slowing me up. They like, man, we don't care. Slow me up. We moving slow anyway. We taking our time and thinking about stuff. We not in a rush like all the time. And they want us to be in a rush. They want to start the screen, screw with me. We ain't in a rush. We taking our time and thinking about stuff. We know y'all been lying. And we just analyzing y'all lies and what y'all, these slave names. How?
And you got a red man talking about his last name Freeman. Then he gonna turn around and tell me he wasn't never no slave. He don't even know real history. And you got a white man last name Freeman. See, when I go to Europe though, when I go to France though, I can't find one person last name Freeman. Cause yeah, I done did the footwork. I took my ass all the way over there to Paris. I said, hey man, we got a lot of white people over here in America named Freeman. They tell us that they slave masters and got these slave names. I came over here in French to find they ancestors. Where the Freeman at in France? I'm over here in Paris looking for the Johnsons, the Jacksons. I'm trying to get down to the business of the truth and history. And y'all playing around. I can't even find nobody over here in France last name Jackson. What the hell is going on? See, when you make too much sense, they start making up stuff then. You know what I'm saying? Well, they go to making up stuff, man. Common surnames in France. See, now we do got a Dubois. All right, we saw Bernard on the list. Simon. Oh, I seen a knocker named Fournier. Little Martin on the list. Little Leroy, you know what I'm saying? Hey, but let me tell y'all, Leroy is a royal name. Leroy is Leroy Royal Negre, my nigga. See, a lot, you know this, alright? So wait a minute. I ain't never met a white man named Leroy. These is French noggers named Leroy. These is noggers. I'm gonna tell you how I know any now. Leroy is a common surname in France. Don't get it twisted. Europe is a Naga land too. It's a bunch of whites there nine stuff, but the originals was Negro. Now I'm gonna tell you how they get Leroy as their surname when Leroy mean Leroy Negre, my nigga. I know what Leroy mean, my nigga. See, they don't know. I done studied a whole lot of shit that's kind of connected and somehow, you know what I'm saying? and it always come back to me like, come on, Google, man, stop tripping, man. Naga's name Leroy in France. Naga's name Leroy in Africa. Leroy Negre. Look at this, y'all. Look at that. Leroy Negre. What it mean? La theory du Roi Negre. The Negro King theory. La theory du Roi Negre. Leroy Negre. Y'all remember this picture? Roy Negre Leroy. They got. Hey, I be laughing because it's funny to me, man. Like, because white people don't be knowing about this stuff. Some of them might do. But, like, when you expose they own stuff their ancestors was doing to them, it be funny, like, cause like, Nagas know more about history than they do for real, man. They don't believe the bullshit they be learning in school and got indoctrinated just like we did. Look at this, Leroy Negre. Come on, don't slow up. Look, y'all remember Mally Coco? That's a Leroy Negre. They always got the Naga like in native garb. Then they'll throw on a French coat or something and give them a hat. This how they was, look, Leroy Negre. This how they was moving in on your ancestors too, man. They'll get them little trinkets. They gave that Naga a little French hat and the coat. He thought he was the shit. He probably thought he was, I'm over these Nagas now. They gave him a sword. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man, he not 0407 down, man. This jump be funny to me though, man. This jump be kind of funny to me because, like, in my eye, I always look at it just from a common sense point of view. I don't never be on no bougie shit. I just like what would I be thinking? You know what I'm saying? and I look at it and like I don't be hitting far from home, man. Leroy Negre. I know what Leroy mean. They go Leroy. They tried to whitewash Leroy. Quan Lewis, who is that? I don't even know who that is. Quan Lewis. Leroy. I know what Leroy mean. Alright, we getting out. We ain't really out topic. but it's funny though, Brit and France, and if you look up common surnames in Spain, we already know we finna see when you look up common surnames in Spain, we about to see Lopez. We about to see all that shit that was on that American Indian surname list. Some of them shits that was on there. But we noticed though, them Spanish surnames ain't on the white people list for some reason, right? It's like they hiding their past or something. They got our last name now. Ain't none of these white people named Agide and all this. Look at these names, man. Of the other people that came and conquered America, that enslaved everybody. See, to me, America's colonization. Look, now you are looking at the 1700s, way later. They telling you James Monroe. These knockers start you look Stuyvesant. I know none of y'all knockers last name ain't Stuyvesant. Especially we ain't Stuyvesant. This ain't, we ain't no Esteban. See, even Esteban, Estabanico, they be trying to talk about that knocker was African. That knocker was a Spaniard. That was a Spaniard knockers. I be like, knockers so dumb.
Big dummy.
Knockers so brainwashed. Knockers don't know Estabanico is not even an African word, fool. Columbus, Cortez, Garay. Look at these names: Gilbert, Cabot, Vespucci, Coloma, Champlain. See, these names is not on the list, man. I'm saying these. And then think about this, man. This what y'all got to think about too. If you was a so-called African slave and you got a slave name, we shouldn't even have that many last names. Technically, because not all white people own slaves, right? There's only a small percentage of white people that had the money to own slaves. Only them crackers was broke as hell. They were slaves. They was indentured slaves themselves. They had to work. Most of them was poor. It was very few that could afford to be a slave master. So if that was the truth about us, we shouldn't have about 10 or 20 last names or some shit. We should have way less last names than everybody else. Knocker should have most of us should have the same last name. Our list should be very short. We shouldn't have a list of last names just as long or longer than everybody else's. When you look at the list of so-called black surnames in America, and we stroll all the way down. Stroll all the way down to the bottom. That ain't even the bottom. There's other pages. You shouldn't have this many last names. If their narrative was true. We just gonna keep dispelling it one lie at a time, man. It's so easy, man. Yeah, conquistadors. I ain't met one knocker with a conquistador last name right here. And right here, shaping the Constitution, is Walter Plecker asserted that Virginia Indians no longer exist. This is in December 1943. Walter Plecker said, ain't no more Indians in Virginia. These knockers Johnson, Jackson, Williams, and Smith now. Right? They not Indians somehow. And we got of course they got it all fuzzy, right? So we went ahead and downloaded it. Supposed to have been a better resolution, but it ain't too much better. He wrote a whole Walter Plecker bitch ass, man. That bitch ass Walter Plecker. His goof ass.
Sit your $5 ass down before I make change. Big dummy.
This goof ass cracker. Mr. Burns looking ass cracker. He wrote a whole damn letter talking about ain't no more Indian. Why he felt it necessary. First off, we gotta ask ourselves these questions, man. Wayne effing out. Man, I doubt Henry Ford owned your great grandfather, Wayne, because Henry Ford wasn't the first person last name Ford. Salute. But that's neither here nor there. I mean, we can't just be so quick to believe their narratives with no proof. You have to have a slave. And then I'm gonna show y'all something how I know that knockers don't got slave names. It's easily proved. I'm gonna prove it. I just want to lay some foundation, connect these other dots. But I'm gonna show y'all some slave records. They gonna show y'all they don't have these people last names. Slaves got their own names, man. And I mean, I got plenty proof, not just one. But we gonna go there. Wale in the house, salute tribe up. Wale in the house. They want to scare you with this fake boogeyman history, you know what I'm saying, scare you up all kind of ways. You got a slave name. You know what I'm saying? See, I knew it. We from Africa. That's what they want you to do, man. But just hold on. I got you. So this was Walter Plecker. He had such a need. He felt like he had to write a whole letter, man. He had a chip on his. It ain't no more Indians in Virginia, and I said it. Walter Plecker. To the local registrars, clerks, legislators, and other responsible for and interested in the provincial or racial intermission. The prevention of swirling. Hey, Walter Plecker said he don't want to see no swirling. Hey, this is funny to me. This is hilarious. This is hilarious, man. The Commonwealth of Virginia, Department of Health, and the Bureau of Vital Statistics in Richmond, December 1943. He wrote a whole letter, man. Something wrong with this man. In our January 1949, I'm gonna read this, man. Y'all gotta pay attention, man, because he telling. Don't forget what the title is. Walter Plecker said it ain't no more Indians in Virginia. So let's see what he talking about. In our January 1943 annual letter to local registers and clerks, of course, with lists of mixed surnames, we called attention to the greatly increased effort and arrogant demands now being made for classification as whites, or at least for recognition as Indians, as a preliminary step to admission into the white race by marriage or groups of the descendants of the free niggers. See, that's so racist they be telling on themselves. That is so racist that they be telling on themselves, bro. This junk don't hurt my feelings. I'm not like one of these niggas. It felt like somebody done hit me across the back with a whip. I'm not. That's not me. I know real history. I know this junk funny to me because it just hilarious. This is ain't no more Indians in Virginia. He immediately went to talking about niggas. And you could tell he was mad when he wrote it. I'm trying to read it like how he was writing. In our January 1943 annual letter to local registers and clerks of the list of the court with lists of mixed surnames. See, he's calling you a slave name, man. See what he doing, man. He trying to say you mixed now because you black. They know you was here. They know how is this nigga Indian? That's what Walter Plecker would say. Walter Plecker, like, how the hell he gotta be mixed? He gotta be mixed with an African. That's what Walter Plecker was saying. You gotta read between the lines of mixed surnames like Jackson, huh? We called attention to the greatly increased efforts and arrogant demands. He said he called y'all cons. He called y'all arrogant. Y'all in here talking about y'all cons. Y'all always Indians. He said you niggas arrogant. Y'all in here talking about y'all ain't no African booty scratchers. While the Plecker said y'all arrogant. He trying to put y'all in y'all place. He said these arrogant demands now being made for classification as whites. He feel like since you saying you ain't an African. See, and this where a lot of dumb niggas at too, man. They feel like since we saying we not African, they think we saying we not melanated, which is or so-called Negro, which is ridiculous, which is ignorant as all outdoors. Africa is not synonymous with Negro. Made for classification as whites, or at least for recognition as an Indian, huh? We at least want our recognition as Indians. And he trying to say this just a preliminary. See, he's saying all they doing is so they can get admission into the white race, so they can get an 800 credit score by marriage or swirling or groups of the descendants of the free Negroes that did not come from Africa, and they calling themselves Indians. See, you can't. I know what you're saying. So designated before 1865 to distinguish them from slaves. According to Wendell's late according to Wendell's law of heredity, 1 out of 4 of a family of mixed breeds through the introduction of illegitimate white blood is now so near. Dang, come on, don't hijack. They mad. They froze me. Stop, man. Come on, man. Y'all gotta download this and read it, man. It's funny though. They said there wasn't no more Indians in Virginia. They done went through a whole. They done went down the whole nigger lane. And they kind of try to give a disclaimer on the article before you put it up at the Library of Congress. Shit talking about, now look, man, warning, you gotta ignore the racial terms of the time. Nah, we ain't knowing nothing. We ain't knowing nothing. You call these Indians niggas. I ain't knowing that shit. According to Wendell's law of heredity, 1 out of 4 of a family of mixed breeds through the introduction of illegitimate white blood is now. Dang, they froze me again right when I get there. Why is they doing that? Is now so near white in appearance as to lead his to dang, see, it's so processes to proclaim himself as such and to demand admission into white schools forbidden by the state constitution. The other 3, come on, man. The other 3 find it more difficult to make the grade. As a climax to their ambition, colored people of this type are applying for licenses to marry whites, or for white licenses when intermarrying amongst themselves. The Naga was saying we white. I don't believe the Naga was saying we white. I think he just on some other shit. But this is hilarious though. These they frequently secure with ease when they apply in a country or city, not the home of the woman, and are met by a clerk or deputy who justifies himself in accepting a casual affidavit as the truth and in issuing a license to any applicant regardless of the recruitment. Now it's not him making excuses when I read that. It's not he making excuses. Section in issuing a license to any applicant regardless of the requirements of section 5099 paragraph 4 of the code. This section places the proof upon the applicants, not upon the clerks. We have now you gotta prove you ain't a nigga. We have learned that affidavits cannot always be accepted as true. This loose practice, to state it mildly, of a few clerks is now the greatest obstacle in the way of the proper registration by race required of the state register of vital statistics in that section. Local registers, who are supposed to know the people of their registration areas, of course, have no excuse for not catching false registration of births and deaths. In many cases, Negroids have white marriages. See, they telling us ain't no more Indians in Virginia. This whole thing about niggas. So who the Indians? See, they can tell them they dry snitching. See, this is a clear case of self snitching and dry snitching. You know what I'm saying? Self-incrimination. You telling us ain't no more Indians in Virginia, then you go on a spill about niggas, a whole spill about niggas and swirling and claiming to be white, passing as white. Niggas trying to get that 800 credit score. You know what I'm saying? See, niggas know what time it is with these applications and stuff y'all pulling. Niggas know what's up, man. It's in many cases Negroids have white marriage certificates while the Bureau demands correct legal registration as to race when the children's births are reported. Armed with the clerk's marriage certificate, they leave home in early and easily pass as white. When a birth certificate with the pedigree on the back is not required, they are even threatening legal action against the state register, but have difficulty and securing a lawyer if the first applies to the Bureau of Vital Statistics for the facts. The Virginia Bureau of Vital Statistics, though through the exceptional, painstaking, and laborious work of the highly trained genealogists, highly trained genealogists, whatever, whom it is fortunate in having, has made a study by groups and families of the principal borderline aspirants for racial change. The chief sources of information are the early birth and death records. And see, this is so hard to read because it's all blurry. Let me see. Alright, one weak point is given in endless trouble is the fact that many birth certificates since 1912 have, without realization of future danger, been accepted with false registration as Indian. How you gonna say it's false? He telling on himself. He telling on himself. Look, hold up. One weak point, which is giving in endless trouble, is the fact that many birth certificates since 1912 have, without realization of future danger, he claims, was accepted with false registration in Indian. That's not false. There is Indians, but not a few. When we were off our guard, have slipped by as white. The General Assembly should empower us to state the recorded pedigree on the back of such certificate and transcripts to protect those desiring the truth now and in the future. Desiring the truth. You know how they hide stuff, because they hide your stuff. Like this is the thing, man. If your ass came from Africa, man, everything would be documented. They would have documented slave ships still intact. They got ships intact out there that's older than the so-called slave trade. Why they don't have one slave ship? And to account for all you niggas from South America to Canada and in between, they ain't got one slave ship. And they would have kept your same last name. They wouldn't have changed your last name. Your name would have been Shaka Zulu still. They wouldn't no white man finna bring you over here and give you his last name for what? If you was really from Africa, you would still have your names. It would not make sense to change them. Why would they change your name and destroy your history if you was from somewhere else for real? Your history was destroyed because you from here, you big dummy. You big dummy. Because you from here. If you was from somewhere else, they would have no reason to hide it. Some people ask me, well, why would they do this, Black Jack? You should ask why they wouldn't do it. You should ask that in the other direction. Why would they lie about all this? You don't know why they would lie? Because your ass from here. If you wasn't from here, they wouldn't lie. They would say, yeah, we got you niggas out of Kenya. We got you niggas out of Nigeria. They'd have had your whole pedigree. That way, if you wanted to go back, you would know the right direction to go. How much did they hate you? They not gonna just say, oh, we lost your paperwork somehow. We lost all you niggas' paperwork. We lost the slave ships. We lost the paperwork. We lost the slave ships. We don't even know what part of Africa. We just say Africa. Think about this, man. These folks sit here with the audacity to tell us they don't know where from, man. Your ass just from Africa. They ain't even give you a country. And then they say they lost the paperwork. They don't know. You talk about the runaround. Yeah, we lost the paperwork. Okay. What about them slave ships? Well, yeah, we lost them too. We ain't got them slave ships. All of them crashed. All of them sunk to the bottom of the ocean. We ain't got not one. Damn. Yeah, cause you know some of y'all Nagas y'all shipwrecked. Some Naga shipwrecked? Yeah, they shipwrecked and escaped off the slave. They ran in the jungle and got with the Indians. Shipwrecked, so they ain't never be a slave for real. Nope, they ain't. Well, then they should still know their African names and language. Then there should be some records of it. It should be some traces of it there, right? If they shipwrecked and they didn't even get nobody talking about giving them a slave name, right? He shipwrecked. He broke free. He should still be talking about his name, Shaka Zulu. He should know his language, his culture, everything. And there should be some evidence and some remains of it there. This just straight common sense here. Yeah, we lost every slave. It would have took thousands of slave ships to bring all you niggas over here. But we ain't got one. We lost all of them. Y'all lost all the slave ships. Y'all don't even remember what country y'all was in Africa taking slaves from. Y'all don't even remember the countries. Y'all was just in Africa, huh? It ain't no historical records of y'all being in Africa taking slaves from no countries. Where the records at? Not. All right, y'all lost y'all paperwork, but what about the historical records? There should be some written history all over the world about this. But it's not, man. It's not. All the written records be talking about you had Indian on your shit. And they keep trying to hide it. This funny. The shit they really trying to burn and hide is the shit that say you say that your shit was Indian. That's the shit that Walter Pleck out here burning hiding shit. They claim, yeah, we burning and hiding shit, but it was by Africa. We burnt all the slave ships and all the records from Africa. Yeah. Okay, I see what you're burning and hiding. I see exactly what you're burning and hiding. This to the point where, man, it's just more than obvious, man. If you do just the least bit of studying, man, if somebody come over to this side of the fence that we own and that other people on the internet own, you know what I'm saying, everybody on that's on this wave, anybody that come to our side of the conversation, they can't help but have a change of opinions unless they just blatantly ignorant, unless they just blatantly in love with a lie. When you start just walking it down one at a time, they can't help but join. All this Afro-indigenous, Afro nothing. India's superior. Go back to the beginning. What's ancient? What's old? I don't care what they calling it now. You think Indian means somebody with a red dot on their fucking forehead because you are ignorant. An Indian is not a person with an Indian is not a customer service rep. They not how may I help you? It's not them people with a red dot on their forehead across the ocean. The Indian is you. And it got nothing to do with your skin color. It got to do with your nation and your land you from. They want to be you so bad. It's like the real China was here in America, just like they stole. And they want to tell you a fake China across the sea. They want to be you so bad. And the funny thing about it is that most of our people can't even see it. They can't even see it. And they keep telling us, yeah, you know, the brainwashed, indoctrinated people, the people that don't study, that just listen to what other people tell them, they probably believe it when they say, yeah, Columbus was looking for a quicker route to the East Indies. And they run with it. They run with that. They run with that. He ended up in the West Indies, huh? He looking for a route to the East Indies, huh? East India, huh? The red dot forehead people. You think Columbus was going over there because they lied to you and you just ran with it and believed it. But you didn't even know that in 1492, when Columbus brought his monkey ass over here to the real Indies, there was no such thing as the East Indies. That came 120 something years later. Excuse me, not 120 something years. I'm thinking about something else. I'm thinking about another time frame, about a whole nother subject. But from 1492 to 1568, that's only 76 years actually. I don't know what I'm on a whole nother thing right now. But 76 years later, after Columbus found India superior, all of a sudden you call another part of the world the East Indies. The earliest known use of the noun East Indies in the mid 1500s. The earliest evidence for East Indies, Hindustan, because it was Hindustan. Columbus wasn't looking for a route to Hindustan. He was looking for a route to the Indies. There was no such thing as the East Indies. There was only one Indies. There was no such thing as the West Indies. You started calling us that when you stole our shit and you tried to give others our titles. the East Indies etymology. Since Europe was the geopolitical center of the world at the time, the term East Indian had been used at least since 1661. Well, so Columbus couldn't have been looking for a route to the East Indies. If that's the case, Columbus was dead by then. You know, and to the brother Wayne F in the house, salute, say that Ford possibly owned his ancestors. I understand why you would think that, right? Because he got the Ford family is a famous family, right? So you would think that, but I'm gonna show you some other stuff. It's funny how they throw this stuff in parentheses, right? He mistakenly believed the world would be much smaller than geographers had previously estimated, and for this reason he argued that by sailing west he could find a quick route to the Indies. He means east. No, he didn't. There's no such thing as East Indies. He said what he meant: a quick route to the Indies, to India Superior, Managa. That's a big lie they're telling for a reason. That is an important lie to tell, to hide the Naga for one. To play like Columbus accidentally came here. They're doing that for a reason. If Columbus was going to Hindustan, he wouldn't have took Pedro Niños and all those people that could speak Hebrew. He would have took people that speak those languages like Hindu. He took people that speak Hebrew because he knew the American Indians, the Khans, he knew the West Indians, a lot of them spoke Hebrew. He knew where he was going. But it's a common misunderstanding to think the Ford family had your ancestors, man. You gotta really understand that's a misunderstanding. It's a misunderstanding that newly freed black folks always took the name of their enslaver. Who would keep that name? If the Ford family had your ancestors enslaved, they would detest that name and they would have changed it, but they didn't, because it's their ancestral name. They love the name. Unless the surname is unique, explained genealogist Kenyatta Berry. That likely was not the case. But it is more common for a previously enslaved person to take their mother or father's last name, depending on which parents they know. Smith said if their parents were married, they would take their father's surname. When enslaved folks were sold or bequeathed through the enslaver's family, they would in most cases only know their mother's last name, but some would choose a new surname entirely. Salute. You don't have a slave name, Managa. Don't change your name thinking it's a slave name without proof. It's your family name, Managa. Remember, those names is on every list. I guarantee you, if I stroll through, Ford is on. We saw Ford on our list. We know it's on the white list. I guarantee you it's on the American Indian list too. But who's to say that your ancestors ain't enslaved them, Managa? The point I'm trying to make. If everybody in America is carrying these names, who's to say who the slave is? Especially when the conquistadors did not have these names. It ain't no conquistador with last name was Ford that came over and helped conquer America. So we gotta understand that. We gotta understand it. But man, I'm saying all this to say, man, we really gotta connect dots and dig more into the truth about things. We can't just run with these narratives they give us, because it's gonna lead us astray every time, man. It's gonna lead us astray and it's gonna close us off to trying to understand deeper than what we thought we knew. Because like me myself, I'm always pushing the envelope to try to prove or disprove something. I don't just get satisfied like with one thing. I'm constantly pushing the envelope. I'm constantly like trying to take it there. Like, all right, show me something new. I asked the Most High to reveal it to me. Mickey Cheeb in the house. Salute Tribe up. Mickey Cheeb up in this piece. Shot Rat Noggers. Salute to my Shot Rat Noggers. Shot Town Noggers in the house. Yeah, man. I'm always trying to push the envelope to disprove something, to find something new, my nigga, to keep building and keep, you know. I always feel like we ain't done enough, even though we done more than enough. For real, we got more than enough proof, my nigga. We got more than enough. We got more than enough common sense proof. But I'm always trying to push the envelope further to say, you know what, wait a minute, man. You know what, let's set the record straight about this right now. These slave names, certain names, let's dig into it. Let's not just take the narrative and feel the conversation and think bad about your family name, and think negative. They want you to feel defeated, my nigga. They want you to feel defeated about your family name without any proof. And when I say without any proof, it's true. That is no proof. They can't show you a slave record. They won't dare show you a slave record. I ain't gonna say they can't. I'm gonna say they won't dare, because it's gonna expose them. They ain't gonna show you these slaves. They gonna hide your ancestry to a certain point, because it's gonna expose your shit. Say Indian on it. They hiding that shit. They're not gonna show you these slave records. They gonna say, oh, yo, we don't know. They gonna turn around and tell you got a slave name. Turn around and tell you got a slave name, right? With no proof. How you gonna tell us that with no proof? And then we turn around and we go to genealogical sites. Where's free family search? Family search. We go to these genealogy sites. You telling us that we got slave names, and I say, all right, that's easy. My last name Ford, that's a slave name. I should be able to go right up in the records and find out who the slave master was. And if my ancestor's last name was slave, what? Hold on, wait a minute. Let me do this. If my ancestor was a slave, then and I got a slave last name, they just put Ford. Let's just put Jacob for the tribe of Jacob, not for the Israelites. Jacob Ford. And we'll just do a quick search. Jacob Ford, right? We're gonna refine the search. We got Jacob Ford in the 1870s. We're gonna refine the search. We're gonna pick up a specific record we want to search. Hold on, it's a census record. We're gonna narrow the search down. How you narrow search? Last name. All right, I might have to log in. Real quick to narrow the search down, y'all. Hold on, let me log in real quick. Give me a second, y'all. I'm gonna log in. We're gonna narrow the search down. We're gonna look specifically at the slave records just to make a point. Because if your last name is slave records, it should match up. It should have a slave master. It should have a slave master Ford on there. I'm just using this as specific. This ain't my man. Wayne F people for real. But I'm just making a point, just saying it like this. Just for we can relate. Let me log in. Hold on, y'all. Sign in. Hide my credentials. We're gonna look at some slave manifests. We're gonna see what we can reveal, my nigga. All right. So I'm signed in now. So we can look at the collection type now. So we looking up Jacob Ford with no birth date, because they claim they don't know that. We lost all that information. We don't know his mama name, his daddy name. We don't know what part of Africa, what ship he came on. We don't know nothing. So let's look at the census in this, and we're gonna go to a particular type. We're gonna look at the slave census, Monaga. Anybody can do this. You can do this with your ancestors' real name if you want to. Denmark census, filtered by collection, England, Florida. So I need the slave census. Georgia, France, Germany, Russia. Slaves. Where the slaves at? I ain't got to the S's yet, I guess. Missouri, New York. Well, let me keep going. Spain, church, United States. Slave schedule right there. United States slave schedule. We could just pick one. Let's just pick one from the 1850s. Boom, right? We're going to apply that. So we're looking at slave census from the 1850s. And we're looking for Jacob Ford. And we're trying to find out who Mr. Ford's slave master was. Look. Unknown. Wait a minute. I thought you said these were slave last names. Why would it be unknown? Wouldn't it be known? Wouldn't it be simply be Ford? All his slaves should be last name Ford. Or are they hiding what it really says? I mean, we looking at digital records, but they do got what they tell us is the real record, right? This right here, which we can zoom in and look at that too. Look, Cherokee, Georgia. What a quinky dink.
You big dummy.
See, man, you can't get away from these, man. I'm saying, man, this can't be no coincidence, man. You know what I'm saying? Like only Cherokee, Georgia. Okay. Oh, John J. Ford was the owner. Okay, so we should see some Shaka Zulu Ford. We should see Toby Ford. Oh, we don't. We just see a male. We don't know if he white, black, or what. He 22 years old. We don't even know his name. His last name can't be Ford. He can't have a slave name. See, they just hoping you don't use your mind and think about stuff. They just hoping you just take whatever they say and go. I'm not like that. You can't just tell me something. I got too many questions. Something might be wrong with me. Hey, salute Bartwine in the house, salute. I know I be doing a lot of shenanigans on here because I be trying to be entertained. I know I be offensive and all. But I might be crazy. But I ain't no dummy though. I could be all that other stuff. I could be offensive. I could be crazy. I could all of them shenanigans, but I'm not dumb, my nigga. I'm not slow one bit. You can't tell me my last name being Ford is a slave name. And then when I pull up the slave census records and it show me John Ford, and I guess he the slave master, right? But it shows me none of his slaves last name Ford. Give me information. John J. surname Ford. Age none added. Others on this record unknown. Census place Cherokee. So who is John though to the record? Let me X this part off so we can get a clear picture of the record itself. If the hijack let me get by. They might not. Alright. So when we look at this slave record, they be acting like it don't exist. Schedule 2 slave inhabitants. Enumerated. Alright. Names of slave owners. So that's where John Ford name would be on here somewhere, right? One slave owner. And then the other people listed, look. Number of slaves. 1. Right? Look. Names of slave owners. No one else names listed. It don't say names of slaves nowhere. It asks for the numbers of the slaves. It asks for the age, the sex of the slave, and the color. Now, if slaves was just so-called Negro, why would they even have to ask for a color, right? Alright. They ask you for a color because there's a lot of slaves, a lot of times were white indentured slaves. You see B, I guess those are B's. I guess that's an M. I'm not sure if that's an M or a W. Is that a white or is that mulatto? But it don't say John Ford, the owner, Toby Ford, the slave, Sam Ford, the slave. It say unknown. It give you a color. It say some nigga, some mulatto. He about 13. However old he is, he a male, that one a female, and they approximate age. They don't give you all that. So for anybody to say, "Oh, yeah, that's your slave name," they honestly don't know what they're talking about. Just the short honesty about it. If we go the long way about it, it's even worse. They woefully ignorant. Somebody could say, "Man, well, that's just the 1850 slave census." Well, look at another one. It don't matter to me, you know what I'm saying? See, I don't know. I already done did this, you know what I'm saying? I already done this before, you know what I'm saying? This is not something new that Blackjack just been on. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. Historical record. Wait a minute, it took me back too far. Go back forward again. What is doing that? Yeah, and he said they interrupted with infomercials. Yeah, I know, man. They probably trying to combat what I'm saying and everything. Collection type. All right, we looked at the 1850 slave census. Let's see. 1850 Cherokee, Georgia. Wait a minute, collection type. Collection type. I wanted to go more detailed like I did before. I was gonna go to like the 1860. The 18, just to keep proving though that it ain't no matter. I mean, even if they want the hijack don't want us to go there. I mean, it's still gonna be the same, man. Unknown. It's gonna be a bunch of unknown, man. Ain't gonna say nobody last name. Ain't gonna say they first name or nothing. That's how I know they lying. You ain't talk about your last name or slave name. Them folks lying, man. They can't prove it. If they could prove it, they would do it in a heartbeat. Boy, they'll do it in a New York minute. Boy, if they could prove that if they could prove, boy. Do you know if they could prove you was a slave that they'll do it? Do you know if they could pull out a real slave ship? They would do it in a heartbeat. They'll do it in a drop of a dime. They'll do it quicker than the feds is on Diddy ass right now. They ain't did it yet with nobody. You know what I'm saying? They ain't did it yet with nobody. Nope. I'm just the fact that it ain't the fact that it's not one intact slave ship. That's enough for me. That's enough alone. Forget about all them Bone Savage clocks and shit. Forget about all that shit. The fact that it ain't one slave ship. Like, to me, that's what Dr. Umar, he trying to open up a school. He should be getting to the bottom of where these slave ships at, man. He on the wrong mission. Like, this nigga trying to talk about opening the never opening school, the never ending mission to open the school. And going back to Africa at the same time, why he ain't opening no school in Africa? That was confusing me. And then this nigga ain't never sit back and thought that, wait a minute, you know, maybe the greatest thing that Dr. Umar can do is locate an intact slave ship. I think he would have said, he would have turned on his Superman, Captain Saber slave music, dun 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 dun, threw on his cape and dove in the ocean. Dr. Umar diving in the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, my dog, and swimming to the bottom. Dr. Umar swimming 300 feet to the bottom he went 300 miles to the bottom of the ocean with a single breath and a single bound. And he found the intact slave ship. Dr. Umar, he grabbed that slave ship we grabbed it by the rope with one arm, and he swam all the way back to the surface with that slave ship and said, "See you knockers, now I done made He said, now I'm going down in history for real. Forget that school. He said, I don't need a school. He said, I'm found the only intact slave ship. I'm the super African. I'm the super Peter Pan African, my nigga. Peter Pan African. He would have went down in history. That's what his mission need to be. Dr. Umar, if you watching, my nigga, you need to be getting us an intact slave ship, man. You need to do something about your legacy, my nigga. You ain't got no legacy, my nigga. You got to never open in school. But you ain't got one slave ship, my nigga. If you get a slave, bro, Dr. Umar, I guarantee you, if you get one intact slave ship, and it got to have at least one shackle on that bitch, and two whips and one shackle, at least got to be on that ship, and it's fully intact, and I'm going to change it. I'm going to delete my channel, and you going down in history to proving me wrong, and I'm going to say, Dr. Umar got it. He's a great African-American hero, and I'm going to give you your props. But until you do that, I don't want to hear shit about no schools, none of that shit. I don't hear none of that shit, man. I don't hear none of that, bro. Not at all, bro. You need to swim to the bottom of the ocean and bring me a slave ship out that bitch, man. And then you still got some explaining to do. Cause I'm gonna say, where the hell the slave ship? Where did the slave? If the slave ship is on the bottom of the ocean, Dr. Umar, you pull it out. Where the slaves went? Aha!
You big dummy!
You still can't try to tell me. So you still gonna lose. I'm saying, okay, you got the ship, but that ship was on the bottom of the ocean, buddy. It couldn't have brought no slaves over here, buddy. So this is just a bunch of ridiculous to me. I can't believe I can't believe his PR team ain't telling him to think about all this stuff, man. Like nobody thinking. I'm like, dude, does anybody even think, man? I'm like, this is crazy that nobody even thinks about stuff, man. Like, nobody, Dr. Umar, just find me a slave ship, man. Then you going down in history. Your legacy is solidified. Forget the school. One slave ship will do more for the Ku Klux Klan than that school will ever do. Salute.
You big
that
dummy.
School will never do what one slave ship can do. You need to get us a slave ship. You ain't even got a slave whip. Let's talk about that. He ain't even got a slave whip. Let alone a slave ship. I ain't seen Dr. I need to see Dr. Umar pull out a slave whip and say, this whip has whipped 1,000 slaves from Africa. I need to see this shit. And until then, I'm not believing nothing about no surnames, talking about slave names and all this goofy shit. I don't see Kunta Kinte on no tobacco ads, and wow, we got a peace pipe. You see, like, all this stupid ass shit. Like, man, you gotta get up a little early in the morning. You think you gonna slide this on me? I don't see no Shaka Zulu on none of these tobacco ads. I don't see none of them. They not dressed like them. I don't see none of that shit. Not at all, man. And in the meantime, we still looking for a slave ship, man. I'm Blackjack though, man. This is House of Cards, man. I appreciate y'all, man, supporting the house, man. They be lying though. This is getting old. All these lies, my nigga. Tribe up, we out. Peace. Con up. Peace to the tribe. Tribe up with me. House of Cards, the West Indian. Bless the child that could hold his own. The Most High, I pray thee, reveal the unknown. Shalom, I was born in the house of Khans, the land of Jacob where it's fertile, plenty fields of corn. See me walking through the valley with my staff and shield. Back in Egypt one day Moses even had to kill a hard pill to swallow that's real. Tomorrow, and I promise to be honest, you'll do whatever to live. And like birds of a feather, all my nagas together at the temple praying, paying homage to ancestors that were led to the slaughter by the preachers and missions, labeled savage and invaded by the cannibal Christians. From then on, it was doomed our verses covered in lies. Till the truth was beneath the surface. Open your eyes, and those who remain will be your remnant. And to this day, I still remain the West Indian. I still remain the West Indian. And to this day, I still remain the West Indian. I still remain the West Indian. And to this day, I still remain the West Indian. An emblem of America personified
as a Naga in feathers, gun on my side. My Naga's back whatever, taking back what's ours. My Naga not a never, standing at the tower of Babylon, and we gon' tear it down. We don't worship the sun. Matter of fact, I'm something like the son of none. On King David, the Messiah, one of Jacob's sons. 12 tribes of evil from the other side. The promised land was where my grandmother died. The motherland in America where I reside. Blackjack war chief for my own tribe. Now those folk don't be lacking in my corridor. House of Khans, I was born in La Florida. And those who remain will be a remnant. And to this day, I still remain the West Indian. And to this day, I still remain the West Indian. I still remain the West Indian. And to this day, I still remain the West Indian. I still remain the West Indian. Tribe up, Khan up, peace to the tribe, peace to the family, salute to the nation, salute to the bloodline, salute to the sons and daughters of Jacob. Khan up, tribe up in the promised land, stronghold of the Naga. It's Blackjack, House of Khans, tribe up, the West Indian salute. And to this day, I still remain the West Indian.